Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Discover the extraordinary fragrance Ariana Grande REM Cherry Eclipse. Delight in black cherry jubilee, sugared honeysuckle, marshmallow meringue, and glowing amber. Get the perfect fragrance. Ariana Grande's REM Cherry Eclipse, exclusively at Ulta Beauty.
If you want to listen to Lovely completely uninterrupted, you can subscribe to our Apple Podcast channel for ad-free episodes. It's $3.99 a month, and we would really appreciate your support. Hello, and welcome back to Lovely. Happy Friday. I don't know about you, but I am in this weird end of year fog where time almost feels a little fake for me. Like you're waiting for the holidays, you're waiting for the new year, and also kind of reflecting everything that's happened throughout the year. And it was a really, really good year. I feel like I've grown a lot, but also not much looks different when I look at like my day to day. So I don't know if you're sitting with that too. Send me a message on Instagram and tell me what delusion you're currently operating under to survive the last 2 months. But yeah. Getting into today's episode, I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot. And that is, why do we reach for the things that we reach for in life? Whether that is a drink, a person, a pattern, or like the spark in dating, right? And majority of those things, sometimes you're reaching for those things because your nervous system is glitching. So I wanted to bring someone on who knows exactly what she's talking about when it comes to all of these things. Her name is Kendall Bierman. She is a therapist, and she also actively makes content around emotional well-being.
An emotion. I'm a therapist, and I see a lot of clients who want to feel happy in their life. And yeah, of course, we all want to feel happy. And it would be great if we felt that the majority of the time. But happiness is an emotion.
So I'm really excited to have Kendall on Lovely and hear a little bit about her personal journey and talk about all the things that I just mentioned. Kendall, welcome to Lovely. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I hope I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm trying.
To be determined.
Listeners will be the judge of that.
Where are you currently?
So I'm currently in New Jersey. I actually moved here in July from New York. Right now, I am licensed in New York and New Jersey to practice as a therapist.
I definitely want to learn more about you. Let's go to baby Kendall. What were you like growing up? What was the household that you grew up in? Like, kind of like, what behaviors did you see growing up and what habits did those form?
I grew up with 2 brothers. I am a middle child, and I was lucky enough to grow up with both my parents, who are still together. And my family was very tight-knit, very, very close. Both my parents grew up in just one town over from where they raised me, so probably 5 minutes from where they grew up. Grandparents lived in the town next door. We are a very loud family. I would say it's the Italian side in me, but my mom is Irish and German, and she's louder than my dad, who's 100% Italian. So I don't know what to say about that other than maybe a lot of ADHD. Just loud, all talking over one another type of family. I grew up in a very competitive town in a suburb of New York City. I think I had a good experience in my high school and middle school, generally speaking. So it was very like academically competitive, athletically competitive. And so for me, I think I didn't really know who I was other than trying to just seek like external validation and be told that I was good enough. And I think it worked for a while. Like I could fit the mold of overachieving at the expense of my anxiety. But by the time I went to college, it all just kind of hit me and was too much to bear, and to start over new and feel like I had to prove myself there felt like a lot. So college was really tough for me.
Did that anxiety build up and get worse in college?
It did. As I said, I was very close with my family, particularly close with my mom because I was the only daughter. There's all these jokes about like the eldest daughter. And in some ways, I think because I was the only daughter, I kind of associate with that role where I was like almost the second mom to my younger brother. And I was like the responsible, mature one. And I was very close with my mother to the point where there was really a lack of boundaries. When I went to college, I hit that like teenage rebellion phase later, like rather than being 16 and in my house, I was a freshman in college and like, screw you, I don't want to talk to you anymore. But at the same time, my mom was kind of like my best friend. So I was anxious, I was rebelling, and I didn't have like my quote best friend to go to anymore. So it kind of was like this perfect storm of like getting involved in this friend group that I really had no business getting involved with. They were just not my people. And I think trying to be someone that I really wasn't, to fit in and be cool or popular or whatever that looks like in college. And my anxiety got the best of me. And the way I dealt with that, it's interesting you started this podcast, like why we reach for the things that we reach for. For me, the thing I reached for was alcohol. I had a lot of social anxiety and just generalized anxiety as well. And so my way of feeling more comfortable in my own skin was by reaching for another drink. And it was almost like very fast and furious. Like in high school, I didn't have that tendency. Like I didn't reach for alcohol. I didn't drink during the week. But in college, that was my crutch. Like that was my new best friend. And it led to a very difficult college experience, one filled with a medical leave and transferring and a lot of hardships, a lot of fun times too. I can't say it was all terrible, but it was tough. I'm glad I got through it. And it also led me to my career, which I mean, now I'm 7 years sober. And from that experience, I found my calling in, I majored in psychology and I wanted to be someone that could help someone like me. And I do that now.
Thank you for trusting me to share that story. I guess what I'm curious about, and I know I've checked out your website. I know you're sober now. Congratulations on that. I'm curious to know, people reach that point of pursuing sobriety when they're like, okay, I've had enough, right? Like something has to change. Like you recognize a pattern is not healthy for you. How bad did it get in college? Like, can you remember to like a certain point where you're like, okay, this is my rock bottom and I need to like change something?
People talk about rock bottom a lot, like as if you just hit one bottom and then that's it. And what's interesting is I hit way worse bottoms than the last one where I was like, that's enough. Without getting into all the details, like I'd failed a lot of classes. I was a really competitive tennis player. It was something I was really passionate about. And I was actually on the D1 team. And I started showing up to practice drunk and missing practices. And I got cut from the team and then didn't play for years, even though it was like a big part of my identity because it felt like there was so much shame attached to that. I had to go to some intensive outpatients. Like I went to a lot of therapy, but with the bottoms that I hit, like it felt like I didn't know how a person could do college without drinking. I went through stints, so I'd go like 90 days without drinking, but then I kept trying again and seeing if I could make it work. And then shit would hit the fan. I'd fail a few classes or I'd have to withdraw from some classes. And then I would not drink again for 90 days or whatever it was. And that cycle really repeated a lot.
Was your family noticing your drinking, or was anyone telling you like, hey, like this needs to stop? Like, I guess kind of in my own experience, when I've interacted with someone that was going through something similar, how do you reach a point of like, when you keep denying it, but then you're like, no, like I actually need to stop. This is a problem, right? Like were people telling you and you were in denial mode or like what happened?
Yes, people were telling me. My family was very involved. At first, I was very much in denial, and my mom would blame my drinking on like what was going on. And I was so mad at her. And I thought she was just crazy. I thought she was overreacting. So it actually created a big divide between the two of us. And in my family, I'm the only person who's actively dealt with addiction. And so my family they didn't have the education around addiction. They also hoped they'd think, okay, we'll send you to therapy for a bit. You'll stop drinking and then maybe we can start again and see how that goes. So it was a learning curve for all of us. And then there was a lot of anger from my mom and family members at me. Like, we just talked about this. Like, why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? And so I would hide it. And I lied constantly. And in lying to other people, you end up almost believing those lies and lying to yourself. At a certain point, I couldn't really deny it anymore. I knew it was causing all my problems, but I still just didn't want to give it up yet. My whole family knew. They all desperately wanted me to be done. I wanted to want it. I think a lot of people hit a point where it's like, I know that this is problematic, but I don't see a path forward without it. And I just don't have the motivation yet, but I hope one day I get it. And it wasn't until I somehow finished school, which took 5 years because of all the withdrawals and everything, and like a 2-point-something GPA. I was going to class and seeing everyone that I was friends with and seeing my sorority and all these people that I kind of used to be friends with, but like I would drive right home after. And it was very clear to everyone else that like I wasn't living there, that there was something going on. And so it was like being a part of, but also not at all. But I finished. And then when I did finish, I didn't drink that year because I was living at home and all that. But when I did finish, I was like, that was miserable. So I'm going to drink again. And like, it ended pretty badly. And I ended up actually going through withdrawal. When I went through the physical withdrawal, I had to go to the hospital. I came home from the hospital. And that for me was like the wake up call that for a long time, I knew there was like kind of a mental addiction. Like I knew I felt I needed it. And that I thought I could beat somehow. Like I could just like will my way out of it. But when it became physical for me, I was like, there's nothing you can do about that. I'm physically addicted to alcohol. And so I guess that was what I needed to just be like, I'm done. And I think also being done with college, it felt like, okay, I can start my adult life like in sobriety.
It's like I'm starting a new chapter in life and I can pair that with my sobriety journey. And, you know, there's a point that you brought up, the connection between physical and mental addiction, right? And I feel like there's also other forms of attachment that have that same connection. Substance abuse or substance addiction with romantic addictions or people addictions, right? Because sometimes when you're with someone and they're wrong for you, they can feel like a drug. So I want to get into that, but I also want to lean in on your current relationship status. Where were you in your sobriety journey when you met your husband, or how did you guys meet?
So I was not sober when I met him. I was 20. So that was like 10 years ago, actually, when I met him. I was in a sorority. He was in a fraternity. I needed a date to one of our like date parties. And my like friend in my sorority was friends with him and was like, why don't you guys go together? And we did. And we didn't start dating right away because honestly, he was so stable that I was like, I don't feel butterflies. Like I don't know. Like I don't think I'm excited about this. And so what's really funny is that I learned that those butterflies were actually anxiety. All those other times that I was dating, like not great guys or people that weren't for me, it's that the butterflies I felt was this like anxious attachment that was cropping up of like, oh, like I feel uncomfortable, but it also felt exciting. And with him, I somehow, even though I was not sober, even though like I had a lot of work to do on my part, I think I was able to recognize that it wasn't that he was boring or the relationship was boring, but it was that I actually felt safe. So I realized, wait, maybe I actually do like him. Like he's actually treating me really well and I don't have to feel insecure. And so when we first started seeing each other, I was drinking. I really tried to hide it as much as possible, like how much I was drinking. I mean, college is unique because it can have a really big drinking culture, especially in Greek life.
So at the beginning, you tried to hide it. When did you find yourself like being real with him about it? And how did he handle it?
In the beginning, I hid the drinking by myself, private, drinking at parties we would do together. Then my senior year, so he was the grade ahead of me. So when I was a senior, he had already finished. And that semester was like a royal shit show. I had to withdraw from a bunch of classes. I was not doing well. So at that point, I was like, I'm going to have to stop drinking for a while and I'm going to have to tell him because that's something that we do together. So I had a talk with him. I tried to be vague. I tried to not be like, oh, I have like a big drinking problem. But I told him that, drinking was kind of getting in the way of my goals and that I wanted to take a break. And like, I know that might be an adjustment for him, but like, this is something I need to do. Like really downplayed it, but he was receptive and he was like, oh, like, that's fine. I think that's really smart, insightful. Like, we don't have to drink. And so we didn't. But then when I was approaching the end of my senior year, he was like, well, if you want to like start drinking again, like maybe like now's the time, have like a beer, see how that goes. Like he was really trying to be supportive because he didn't know the history at all. He was like, I can help. Like we can moderate together. I ended up going through withdrawal, not with him, but I had to go to the hospital or whatever. And when I was on my way to the hospital, because I knew I was going through withdrawal, I knew what that looked like. My family members, they told me, do not tell him, like, he's going to break up with you. Like, this is not the thing to do. And I was like, I have to tell him, like, my life is changing here. And so I did. And I was terrified. I thought for sure he'd break up with me. Like, this is too much. I mean, also, he was about to start med school. So I'm like, he has his life on track. He's got direction. And like, who wants to deal with their alcoholic girlfriend? But he did. And he was extremely supportive. He came and visited me. I told him, I was like, I need to get sober. This has been a really big problem. I really opened up to him about everything. And I really give him a lot of credit for helping me to actually go to rehab and maintain my sobriety. I know to be sober, it has to be internal motivation, but shame is really powerful in keeping people to like keep using. And when he accepted me and was like, you're going to do this thing and you're going to lick it and I'm here for you, that was like the permission I needed to like go and do it. Like I felt safe. And he told me, he was like, you only want to go through this once, right? Like, who wants to go to rehab more than once? I was like, yeah, like just once. He goes, go there, do exactly what they tell you, stick with it. He's like, call me every single night. And I did. And so the day I went to rehab was the same day he started med school. And I would just call him every day and he'd tell me about class and I'd tell him about what I learned in therapy.
Wow. Oh my God. I'm just like taking in that story. It's like our entire lives, when we are experiencing chaos, it almost becomes our comfort food. Like we know that it's whatever is causing the chaos. We know it's bad for us, but we'll go back for seconds and we'll go back for thirds and we'll go back for like the leftovers. I'm really glad to hear that the person that made you feel the safest was there to stick it out with you. And I think the safety feeling is very underrated and overrated at the same point in dating today, because when someone healthy shows up, you're like, why are you so calm? Why aren't you yelling? Why aren't you pulling away? You're just boring. But like, are they boring or are they just emotionally regulated? Do you see a massive difference with how you were in that relationship while you were still like, trying to stop drinking alcohol versus how you are in your sobriety journey right now?
I was a very fearful person. I was very afraid, like if we want to get into attachment styles, I am anxious attachment to a T. And that presented in like me lying And not because I got a thrill out of it, but because it felt like survival. Like I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I was so afraid of doing that because if I did, what if they just like left me? And then you throw in substance abuse and there's a lot of lies with that to cover it up. So I was partially lying to cover up the substance abuse. And then I was also lying because I didn't want him to leave me. So as much as I wanted him to know me and love me for me, I was also terrified that he would get to know me and then reject me. And that's because I didn't really care for myself too much. And now, because of that safety, my brain has been like positively reinforced enough to know that I can, or to feel that I can show up as myself and he will accept me. I don't have to lie. And it takes a lot of work. Like lying becomes almost contagious, or not contagious. It becomes a habit. It's like the more you do it, it's like comes out of your mouth and you're like, wait, why did I just say that? And so it took a lot of effort, but now it's almost like the truth is the same way. Once you get used to just being honest all the time, sometimes you're like word vomit. You're like, why did I just say that? So yeah, I am a lot more honest. I am way better at communicating my feelings and where I'm coming from. I was not assertive at all because I was afraid to push people away. My communication has greatly increased in my sobriety because I have no other choice. I can't avoid how I'm feeling, really. I can try, but it's not nearly as effective as like drinking.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
I know a big part of your story, and you as a therapist, you're vocal about it, is you've been on both sides of the couch, which I'm sure a lot of people are able to resonate with. And I want to talk to you about something that I was thinking about as I'm drawing this connection. So with the substance addiction, there's a lot of people today that are still dealing with this. I actually dated someone for a long time that was also going through something similar. It was a lot of other issues too. And it was really tough to kind of see the person that you love in self-destruction. And as much as you want to help them, you can't, because I think in your story too, it kind of has to like come from you. You need to put a stop to it. And I knew that kind of like, let's say 1 year into it, but you keep hoping the person would change. And then just like they're addicted to the substance, I was addicted to the person. So I think that's a very like interesting connection. So I want to dig a little bit deeper there. I guess from what you've lived and how you interact with your clients, how connected are these two forms of attachment, and what do we need to like know about it? Why do we reach for it?
So they are really similar. And I'm glad that you made that connection, actually, that like, and you were also saying like you kept hoping that you could like change them, right? And I think just as like the addict or alcoholic is hoping that they will just magically change as well, but not by getting sober, but they'll just like all of a sudden wake up and be able to use substances like a quote normal person. But why? I mean, I think we're all looking for some sense of control and security. I can't speak for everybody. Like I can't list a specific emotion because there could be different reasons for different people, but it's generally just distress. We live in a society that is extremely pain averse right now. And I don't mean physical pain, I mean mental pain. Like our phones are our addictions now. We have Amazon that will be delivered in a 2-hour window if we want. We don't have to wait for anything. And in some ways that's amazing, but in other ways it means we don't have to sit in our shit forever. We can constantly be stimulated. And what that's doing, it's reinforcing this behavior of like, oh, I'm bored. I don't want to be like this. Let me grab my phone. Let me grab this. And when that is not enough anymore, when we're in so much distress that we're trying to avoid it at all costs, that's where substances come in. That's where love addiction comes in. It's like, I'm looking for something just to make me feel okay. And for some reason, I can't, or I feel I can't do that on my own. And maybe I never learned the skills. And I don't think we do learn the skills.
But like, how do you stop the addiction from your phone? Like, I have tried to give myself a detox, can't even stay away from it for an hour. But it's like, if a phone is so hard to break from, how do you break from like all of these other things that just actually make you feel like put you in such a euphoric state, you know? Like, it's so tough.
Well, that's the thing. Like, some things are just more destructive than others. And I think that also comes down to like how much dopamine it's producing in your brain, right? Like substances, alcohol, cocaine in particular. When you use those, your brain just floods with dopamine. The more you use it, the less dopamine your brain starts producing naturally. And so you're actually not even feeling as much joy out of things than you would before you were using the substances. So you kind of have to keep using to feel that, to feel okay. And it doesn't just have to be substances. Like behavioral addictions also create dopamine. I think like we're a very dopamine seeking society. We want to feel good all the time. And like we can't feel good all the time. And what we really need to be practicing is being okay, starting to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Looking at that as a skill in itself. Like, oh, I feel uncomfortable right now. Let's maybe find meaning in that. Like, okay, this is actually good for me. I'm building resilience right now. Like, this sucks. I don't like how this feels. But it's purposeful and it means that I'm human and it means that I will get through this if I expose myself to it. But it's hard. I think like if your phone is keeping you away from like important things in your life and the things that you value, well, it might be time to really try and make some changes there. But if it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm on it all the time, like that, yeah, okay, that could be problematic in itself. But it depends like how much it's really impacting your life.
I do want to pivot a little bit and I want to talk about how we date currently because drink culture is a big part of how we date. Question number 1 is, do you think our standards change when we drink versus when we don't drink?
Yes. I think that drinking makes anything more bearable or maybe even enjoyable. Not to say like, we don't have fun when we're sober. I have plenty of fun. But I think that if I'm at a dinner with someone who I'm like, if I'm drinking, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Like I can get through this. This is fun. If you're sober, you have to really sit there and evaluate like, oh my God, this is so boring. This conversation is bad. You actually have to sit and think like, how am I feeling about this person? How am I feeling right now? Alcohol numbs our like general nervous system. It's numbing our emotions. So we're not really in tune with how we're feeling. It also heightens certain emotions. And so like it numbs some, but then heightens like excitement. And I think that drinking can alter your perception of somebody when you're dating.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like dating sober is wild because you see people clearly, which can be a jump scare sometimes, you know, like there's no delusion, there's no romanticizing. How do you get that balance?
When we talk about like the rip-roaring, like fun nights that we've had, it's usually involving substances, right? Like that was crazy. What a wild night. Like something about like having a wild night is like, we describe it as like, that's fun. And we don't really describe the night like, oh, we had a board game night as being like, that was the fun, memorable time. I don't know why, because like I love board game nights personally, but there is absolutely fun to be had in sobriety. And as a sober person, like I go to bars, I go out. One of my best friends who's sober, she's like out every weekend. So like I would say she's a lot more fun than me, if that's how we're measuring fun. But I think also what you're speaking to is just the problem with dating apps as a whole, right? You're not getting a full picture of a person. Like you could just you're just looking at a few pictures of somebody and without knowing their personality, deciding like if I'm attracted to them or not. Like, I don't know if I would have swiped right on my husband. I love my husband dearly and I find him attractive, but like, who's to say? I don't know. Maybe he would have posted weird pictures that I didn't like, or maybe his sense of humor would have thrown me off. Like, we're not getting the full picture. And so just as we would judge a picture without really knowing the person, we're going to make judgments about what people are listing. And I too, even if I were single and using dating apps, I might even have like judgment about it, which is crazy to come from me. But I might think, well, are they like sober or do they just like not like it? Because if they don't like it, that's boring. Like, what do you mean? Like, so I think it speaks more to like how limiting dating apps are. Like, we're not getting the full picture. We have no idea. Maybe if you, like you said, maybe if you had met any of those people, you'd actually think they were a lot of fun, but you don't know. You know, we talk about these days like cancel culture. I think we almost do that in our day-to-day lives. Like, oh, you do that, canceled. No, you're not.
We do that. Yeah. We need to chill out a little bit.
I think so. We're very quick. It's a protective measure is really what it is. It's like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to get hurt. And so it's like a way of seeing the world in like black and white. So that way we can feel more in control and secure. But really what it does is it limits our world. It constricts it. And we're missing out on opportunities and people.
Yeah. I mean, it goes right back to self-sabotage, right? Like usually what you're trying to do is you're trying to pre-hurt yourself before anyone else can hurt you. Everything that we've kind of talked about so far is like, even, you know, like when you were kind of communicating to your now husband, you were almost like mentally prepared yourself that he's going to leave, right? And you're like telling yourself the story that he's not going to stay so you could protect yourself from the hurt.
It's funny, actually, since he graduated a year before me. So we had only been dating like a few months. And I had a conversation with him in his room. I was like, I know you're graduating, you know, so like, you probably don't want to stay in the relationship. Like, I get it. I was trying to be the cool girl. And he was like, yeah, okay. And then the next day he was like back to what we were talking about. Like, I don't want that. Like, I want to stay in the relationship. I was like, thank God.
I love that.
But yeah, it's like, we're trying to protect ourselves. Like, oh yeah, like, that's fine. Like, I don't need you. And then like giving them an out almost. So that way it's just over before we get in too deep and then get hurt.
Curious to hear, this is like a free for all. Like, is there anything that's been on your mind recently, like that you've kind of been seeing come up with your clients a lot, like related to how people are dating, how people are feeling lonelier more than ever in an era where we're more connected than ever, right? Anything coming up?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the clients I see are in their 20s. They're living in New York City. I just see a lot of like people who so badly want connection, but they're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid of rejection. And maybe this goes back to this conversation we were having earlier about like the avoidance of distress at all cost, right? Like, if I don't put myself out there, I don't have to deal with the distress of rejection. Then you never get the opportunity to like get that connection. So that is really what I see with my clients. They're like, I wish a boyfriend or a girlfriend would just fall in my lap and we could skip the small talk and the early dating and just be like in a committed like relationship where we're comfy with one another. They don't want to go through the hard part, the vulnerable part. But I don't blame them. That's hard. And it's fear. And so the way I try to go about it with some of my clients is almost like through little exposure therapies of like finding little ways to expose them to things that make them anxious, that they're slowly putting themselves out there. Like, go to a restaurant by yourself, dine by yourself, go to, like in New York, there's a lot of different like social clubs or things that you can join or like apps, like join one of those, go by yourself, bring a friend the first time if you must, but like, what are ways that we can kind of just get you out there a little bit more to like work on building your confidence and your threshold? But yeah, it's a lot of fear. It's a lot of anxiety and fear of rejection.
Exposure therapy, and we need to do more rejection therapy, because what's going to happen? Like, someone says no to you. Okay. Life will go on. But you know what? I sit here and I preach that. But I remember like the last time like I was out and I really wanted to talk to someone, I didn't go up and make that move because I'm like, oh my God, what if they say no? So it's scary. It's a lot easier said than done. But I will remind myself of this conversation the next time I am out. I like to have my current guest leave a question for my next guest. So is there anything you would want to ask my next guest?
Oh my gosh, let me think about this. I want to know their thoughts on like Peter Pan syndrome.
Ooh, that could be a whole episode.
I feel like it could be.
And just so anyone that's listening has not heard of this term before, what does the Peter Pan syndrome actually stand for?
The way I picture it is it's like the man or woman who never wants to grow up. So they're completely like avoidant. They don't want like a relationship. They're afraid of commitment. It's like, I'm just going to date around and have fun for like the rest of my life. And it's at a certain point, it's like, okay, like, do you want to like settle down? Do you want to find a partner? It's like, meanwhile, I'm 45 and I'm only dating 20-year-olds. It's like, why is this? Is it on the rise? Is it happening more than usual? Has it always been a thing? Like, what's going on with that? Why is that happening? I feel like I could get into it myself, but I'm curious like what the next guest would have to say about it and their thoughts.
Yeah, I might just have to make that a whole episode because I was thinking about that too. Peter Pan syndrome is so real. Why do you think it's on the rise? What's happening?
I wonder if it is, or we just like have a name for everything these days. But I mean, honestly, maybe it is. I think we are the generation of divorced parents, right? Like 50% of marriages. I think the divorce rate is down right now, actually. But for a time, it was about 50%. And so I think that like traumatized a whole generation of people who went through their parents' divorce. And so there's a lot of people with avoidant attachment styles who are terrified that if they commit that it's going to end. But I think that what makes them a Peter Pan versus someone who's like emotionally intelligent or aware is that they're not even aware that that's like where this is coming from. They're so defended against it. They're just like, I don't think they'd be even open to a conversation of like, oh yes, like, well, I'm actually afraid. Like that would require a lot more work than I think a lot of those Peter Pan types are willing to go down. And so they keep the pattern going.
Because people aren't getting married. That's why it's down. No one's getting married, so no one's getting divorced. Thank you so much for an amazing conversation. Before I let you go, I do want to give you a chance to kind of share, is there any specific therapy that you do with your clients? If someone wants to connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm a licensed therapist, mental health counselor. I'm licensed in New York and New Jersey. And right now my practice is fully virtual. So if you're in either of those states, I can see you online. Most of my clients are young adults, adult age, who are struggling with anxiety or who are sober curious or struggling with alcohol or marijuana use. And then additionally, I work with clients who are struggling with binge eating and body image issues as well. And you can contact me. You can go to my website, which is www.kendallbtherapy.com. And that's Kendall with 2 L's and B as in boy. And then also I'm on Instagram as Kendall B Therapy.
Amazing. Well, like I said, thank you so much for a great conversation. Thank you for trusting us to share your story. I think it brought a lot of depth to the things that we were talking about.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's it for today's episode. If anything today hit a nerve or made you pause, It's literally human nature. It's human condition. I think we're all just walking around trying to soothe wounds we didn't choose, and we're trying to build healthier futures with the tools that are available to us, and we're still learning how to use them. Like always, we will see you next week on More Lovely. See you then. Lovely is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by me, Mehek. Theme music, sound design, and editing by Lou Raskin. Other music is by Epidemic Sound. See you next Friday for More Lovely.